Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's podcast on the pit stop for round number 5, which was last Sunday at the Nürburgring full game straight 24 hours. And it was a very eventful race if you watched the stream back, either live or subsequently. It was action packed and full of loads of replays that went on in the session, and our broadcaster was very busy on the replay button. But tonight I'm joined again by my co-host in the commentary box, Dave Whitehouse. Say hello, Dave.
Hi, Andy. Hi, everybody. What a race we had there at Nordschleife. Great fun. Lewis obviously had to work very hard with the replay button, as you said. And just little incidents here and there, but nothing malicious or anything. And actually, we have very limited protests to look through tonight. So, maybe a bit too clean.
Yeah, well, there's only 2 protests, but what we do have tonight is a real treat for you viewers. Is we have us two as the 2 commentators, and we also have the broadcaster in tonight, Lewis Arar, who's going to give us an insight into what it takes to set up a broadcast here on Performance Link. And I think before we do that, we'll just show our different rigs. And Dave, I don't know if you want to show yours to basically show what you use for your broadcasts.
Like you say before, it is a bit dark in here because, as you can see from my headset, my microphone. It's a lovely view of me, isn't it? My microphone decided to stop working, and I don't have sound in one ear, so I've got a little microphone here at the moment. This is my Fanatec DD Pro wheel and McLaren GT3 wheel. Went for this because it's got a bit more width compared to the V2 wheel. As you can see there, one screen at this moment in time. Hopefully going to have another one up there at some point. And then I've got, as you can see, can you see that? No. You can see behind me, though, the track racer rig. So I just sit in this and do my racing, do my commentary, and whatever else comes up job-wise as we go along. But that is only a small 24-inch screen. So it's not a lot, but it does the job. And it shows, once I get this camera plugged back to the top of a thing without it falling down. There we go. It just means that we can fit it into this small space I've got, which was meant to be, well, it was originally a box room, then it became a nursery, then we chucked the kid out of it to make an office for my wife's business, and my wife's business never got in here. So, it's still work in progress, and we'll probably need it as a 3rd bedroom by the time we're finished.
Definitely. Obviously, I'm just looking in the chat. Haley, are you able to hear us? I sound super quiet. That's
let me just. I will just find the feed and go have a look.
Yeah, have a look for that, Dave, and see if I'm on a lot lower. But while we do that, obviously we've seen Dave's. Let's have a look at mine. So let me just grab my camera. So I have my one screen there, and there's Dave and my room. So there's 2 screens, 232. Then I have a big 55 up there, and then over there I have my 52 ultra wide with a CSL Elite and ultra clean rig. That's my rig, but the only ones I use for commentating are these 2. So pretty much Dave 1 screen, Andy 2 screen for commentating. Let me sort this out now. This is where I can't get this back into position. Which will be about right. There we go. Now let's, without further ado, let's bring in Lewis onto the stream, and we'll see what it takes to be a broadcaster. Hello, Lewis, and welcome to the stream. How are you, mate?
Hello, guys. Hello, guys. Thank you for having me tonight.
Just to let you know, Andy, in terms of sound, I can hear you on the broadcast. So.
Oh right, okay. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe I'll just increase my decibels a few bit. But Lewis, welcome to the stream. Obviously, our hidden hero behind the scenes, broadcaster. You know, it's me and Dave having the easy job doing the broadcasts, and then you've got the hard job of coordinating it all and seeing that. But before we get into that, just tell us a little bit about, you know, when you got into iRacing, you know, how much do you race, and what cars you particularly like to drive.
I started iRacing after a friend recommended it back in 2019 or something like that. In the beginning of the year, I tried for 1 month or so, and then I have a very, very bad computer, so I raced the PlayStations and things like that until the fall or something like that in the same year, and then I bought a better computer, and from the fall of 2019 to today, I have been mainly racing iRacing. So that's how I started with iRacing, and my favorite car is the LMP ones. I just love how to drive that car around. So it's going to be a shame to lose the car from the service, from the official. But I'm very looking forward to the new hybrid car, so the new BMW. So let's hope that's it's a good thing for the service to have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know the LMP one. I did join the Apex prototype ones, and I decided to take. I plunged into the deep end and drive the Porsche LMP one, and let's just say I was absolutely terrible at it. I think on Le Mans, I actually got lapped by all the other LMP ones. That's how slow it was in an
Yeah.
hour race.
About the Apex Racing leagues, the trophy that stands over there, it's actually the championship winning trophy from last season's prototype series. So
anybody wants to learn how to drive the LMP, Lewis is your man.
yeah.
But obviously, obviously the lockdown I think accelerated a lot of people coming onto the server, getting into the server, and it's sort of gone up. And what I can see there is a very large screen to your left-hand side. So, when did you get into the broadcasting side of iRacing?
Actually, it's just around little bit over a year ago. I was running a Norwegian series that had broadcasts, and the guy broadcasting that series got very ill. So one Monday, the race particular race was in the evening, and in the Monday afternoon, I decided to jump into it, and I've been broadcasting since then, so just a little over a year ago, and I started to do broadcast for Apex around December last year or something like that. So yeah, it's been a steep learning curve, but it's very fun also. It has taken a bit of my time driving because I have a family and need to prioritize that as well. So it's been very fun, but it's taken a little bit of my time driving to the broadcasting bit.
I mean, definitely. I mean, I know where you're at. I obviously started driving heavily during the lockdown. Then I pretty much moved to the commentary, probably like Dave as well.
I'm quite glad you said driving there.
And then I sort of moved over to looking now at doing the broadcast. I'm very much at the early stages. I know how to do the basic things, but certainly not to the standard of yours. Now, we've seen Dave's setup. Dave one screen, we're going to call him. Andy two screen. Now let's have a look at how many screens you actually use when you're doing a broadcast.
During the Performance Leagues broadcast, we do have a little bit extra as well. So I will take my camera off here and show you.
Tiny bit extra.
That's my rig. They are 3 screens, triple screen, 32 inches. When I have my Discord on the one end, the SDK overlay and the camera feed, so I can get everything set up from in the middle screen. Then I have my OBS on the top. And when I would do the YouTube, I need to have it on the right hand side. And since we have cameras as well, I need to have an extra PC for it. So that's one.
That is just
So
an insane setup. So just take us through the setup, what you have to do to set up, taking it through to getting the session in, and then how you produce, the excellent broadcasts that you actually have done in this league and many other leagues before that.
I use a lot of time watching YouTubes and watching the angles the camera has. And yes, and after every broadcast, I also watch the broadcast in the replay in full length, so I can learn from what I've done and yeah, take notes from what I've done, what I like to do, what I didn't like to do, and everything like that. So that's basically for every hour broadcast I do. I also use an hour afterwards to review my work, if you can say that, and yeah, prepare for the next one because and look for something cool to do. So I always try to deliver as good product as possible, and yeah, that's why I've strived to do.
Yeah, I mean it is certainly that, isn't it, Dave? I think it's you said it a 4K resolution for the
Yeah,
streams.
yeah. I started in when I did started the production side. It was in 4K, and I stuck to it since.
I mean, it certainly shows on the
So
broadcast. It does look professional. I've watched a few back myself, and it looks like you're actually there at the races. The quality of the picture, but obviously that quality comes with some extreme computer power. And you mentioned earlier on that you started with a very basic computer, but certainly what is
yeah.
in your rig at the moment to run them screens and the broadcast at 4K.
Now it's I'm saving up some bucks for the new GPUs that just arrived. So that's a lot of saving up to do for it. But and the drives, everything is a computer with Ryzen AMD Ryzen 9 5900X and 2080 GPU that's been overclocked, and yeah, with water cooling and yeah.
It's a really
I could,
powerful rig.
yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to save up the bucks for the 4090 because then I can even higher my standards for the quality of the broadcast and everything. So yeah.
I will say I know exactly what you mean about looking back over it because I do camera work in sort of out in the real world at kart tracks, and you get home and you look at one and you go, "Oh, I nailed that one," and then you look at another one and go, "That was the same shot and I didn't hit that one," and you end up just sort of going, "Will I learn from that or will I get that better and stuff?" So it is so easy to be critical of yourself, but the performance link shows so far have been brilliant, to be honest.
It
Thank you.
certainly is. With the added dimension of adding the cams on there, it's certainly very professional. But I did see there that obviously you've got an Olympus Esports. I'm sure Thomas Cope, one of our drivers, will love that. Who seems to be one of the managers over there. Do you actually drive for Olympus Esports?
Yes, I do drive for the guys. I joined the team after my win in the prototype series, so I'm rather new to the team. So yeah, it's
So they poached you,
very
in other
cool.
words.
Yeah, the bunch of guys there and the girls are very cool to hang out with. So yeah, I'm looking forward to share time in my rig driving with them in special events and things like that.
Yeah, I
So
suppose the one question is who's got the better strategy, Olympus or Ferrari?
Uh, after the T-shirt, yeah, I need to say Olympus. So
So obviously, just with the broadcast, one of the big things that we do use, and I use, Dave uses it, is obviously the STK gaming, which makes it, I suppose, super easy from a broadcasting point of view to be able to stream. We all three of us see the same stream. Lewis can obviously speak to us in our ears. Obviously, he doesn't come out live on the stream to tell us, replays and that. Can you just obviously show the viewers of obviously the STK? You obviously won't have a lot of names up there,
uh,
but
I
the
haven't.
box. Have you got just obviously the box at the bottom that we
Yeah,
sort of click? So these are sort of all the controls, and if you just explain what the viewers are actually looking at, because all they're probably seeing is, wow, that's a lot of information there.
yeah. This is the control. You can control basically everything. I have now set it up as a streamer because I'm doing my stream setup now with the SDK. So I can change that to another project so you can see actually how many buttons there are here. Just give me a quick second here,
Yeah, no problem.
and we can do.
Yeah, so just to explain to some people, because obviously me and Andy have seen the other side of all of this before. There is a column down the right hand side, which is your project, which is how everything looks and how it feeds between us all. And then obviously Lewis controls all of this while the race is going on.
As you can see here, you have camera selections over here. We have some of the boxes that are ticked out with time deltas, battle box, etc., and things like that. Whenever we load up the championship points, I manage there from this side here, and results when the race is already comes up here. And when we grid, this is the box for controlling the grid at the start. So, and here we can set up the session states and show if you want to change the timing tower and things like that. So, yeah, it's a lot of features that you can do from here, and you guys have seen the broadcast, and yeah, I need to hold on to this every second of the race.
Yeah, so seamlessly there, and obviously changing camera angles, you do all that, and obviously what we're not seeing there is at the top of that would be the whole field. So obviously in our league we do have currently around about 50 to 60. We've got 60 drivers signed up for it, but I think the most we've had was Watkins on the first round, which was around 50.
That was a full grid. 58.
58 cars.
Yeah.
So you'd have 58 names up there, and basically Lewis, when we're talking, literally has to find that name in that list of 58 names, click on him, then we change again. So we always keep Lewis on his toes, and obviously he's looking completely down the timing tower on the right hand side, gives him an incident level, and that's how he can go back and play the replay. So during an hour long race then, Lewis, pretty much you're full at it. So say next week or this Sunday we've got Spa coming up, 2 hours of Spa. You're literally going to be sat in that seat looking at that screen that we just used and clicking names and clicking everything up to get the broadcast on, aren't you?
That's right. So, as you mentioned, and yes, whenever you are going to talk about someone, I need to be quick to find the guy in the list that comes up, and yeah. So, and yeah, and sometimes I need to, whenever I use maybe a Leopard car or something like that as a camera car, I need to find that guy because it's not been marked yet. So I need to, sometimes it's guessing who it is. And sometimes I hit, and when I hit, it looks very cool when you have the leader just behind the Leopard car and everything. So yeah.
Exactly that. Me and Dave, you'll probably agree, we got the super easy job being out front stage, trying to commentate on the race. And, I'm constantly saying in the broadcast that, Lewis and pretty much every broadcaster that does any sort of streaming from an iRacing point of view, it's very complex behind the scenes, and they're constantly there. And I think they are certainly the unsung heroes, pretty much like the spotters. The drivers have. They're very much the unsung heroes. The drivers get all the glory, as they say, or as broadcasters, and they get none, don't they, Dave?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And like Lewis was, Andy was saying, how we might talk about Thomas Cope, for example, and then Lewis has to find him. Lewis will also be looking at the timing screen, and if he sees somebody fall down with his tower that we haven't seen, he'll click on them, bring up a replay, and we'll be like, oh, okay, we didn't know this had happened. So it sort of works both ways in terms of that side of things, but we're not having to. We're just going, oh, he's falling down the tower. We'll have a look at him. And Lewis is like, well, I wasn't going to look for him today, but now I've got to. So, yeah, luckily we haven't got, like some producers have had in the past, constant talking in the ear. And Lewis is very good with the information that we do get when it is important. And Thomas Cope in the chat says you should stream a 2-hour command center. I don't think his computer will take him streaming himself as well. And we do have a message from Ruthie Mokes, who I don't know if this is some kind of foot fetish, but she would love to see a pedal cam at some point. So
that would be quite cool, actually. But that'd be down to the drivers.
Maybe we need Scott to set that up.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll ask Scott to set up the pedals. So obviously, just looking at the last race, Lewis, I mean, I think every 2 seconds, literally, we had a replay. I mean, have you ever had a race that you've had so many replays?
No, but it's Nürburgring, so I was some kind of expecting that, because it's called the Green Hell for something, and
he had it on replays, and then he clicked live when something wasn't happening.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, and so it. I did a race there on Wednesday, and I knew was something that was coming up because of that.
Well, so, like I say, it's not called the Green Hell for one. It's just such a war of attrition. I don't know if the drivers had changed. I don't know if Lewis, if you would say, they were all looking forward to the Nordschleife on Sunday. I wonder if they're actually still looking. So obviously the drivers in the chat. How are you feeling about the Nordschleife now? Would you go back and do it again this weekend if it was another 2-hour race? I don't know, but it was hard work for a lot of
Have you not told them we're changing the championship to like 6-hour Nürburgring
every week?
Yeah.
I think Lewis will go into a heart attack with the amount of replays you would have to play like.
Yeah. But saying that, it was a fun race to watch, because I enjoy watching it myself. I always said that with everything I've been doing from when I started with RC cars when I was younger, I do it as long as I feel that's fun to do. Because whenever I don't feel it's fun anymore, I just quit doing it. Because that's why I started sim racing, because it was fun. And like you guys, I started with Logitech G29 in 2018 or something like that with my PlayStation, and it's evolved to this sim lab rig that I have now. So yeah.
I mean, that is some amazing setup. So what screens, you use the 3 screens obviously for the racing. What do you use that top screen for then? Is it like an overlay as well?
I use it for OBS, and when I do broadcast, and when I do racing, I do it for combined with the OBS and Discord. So yeah.
I mean, 5 screens to do a broadcast of a thing. It just shows how much work goes into running one of them. It's no easy feat. And Lewis and Dave, we've all worked together on many series actually in Apex, and it's always good to get the team back. But what is good is to get you out front, Lewis, because I think and I'm pretty sure our viewers will say the standard of the broadcast that we're doing in this series is second to none. That 4K resolution was absolutely stroke of genius, and it just looks absolutely amazing. So from me, a big thank you for what you do, and very much the unsung hero of all this league, I would say.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you will.
I hope every driver and the sponsors that sponsored some of the drivers see it and think it's cool and help the drivers out even more.
Definitely. Dave,
That's why I do it.
You got any more, Dave?
Yeah, well, it's just generally, like Andy said, thanks you for your hard work, which puts on these great broadcasts. I mean, it has gone uphill in terms of broadcast. You've had to put our ugly mugs on the TV a couple of times, which, has probably just dumbed down the 4K just a little bit, especially getting to my age, but yeah, no, they're great things. Just outside of sim racing and racing itself, obviously you say you got a family, but do you have time to do anything else? Do you like other sports or anything like that?
I have a track day car, but the last 4 years, I have been building my house as well. So I haven't been able to use it that much as I want to. So, but I have a track day car, and I don't want to sell
What
it
is it?
because I have Audi S3.
An Audi S3.
Yeah.
And where's the best place you've took it?
I recommend everyone to drive the Rudskogen because that's probably one of the coolest tracks I've done. Whenever you're finished with the turn 2 and you go straight full throttle and you don't see the dip, you just see skies, and so it's the downhill to turn 3. It's just so steep. And my girlfriend, when she joined me for a few years ago, she's used to drive with me, and she managed to do a couple of laps, and then she said, "Sorry, I need to get off because that turn is just crazy." And it's called Anxiety Corner, and it's some kind of translation. So it's it's a rather cool corner to hit.
So you say there that you're also building your house. So you're a man of many talents. You obviously got your day job. You do commentate. You do the broadcasting for us. You race for Olympus Esports. You do a track day in an Audi A3, and now you're building your house. I mean, you're a man of many talents, Lewis.
I hope so. At least I know a little bit of something, and and not little of much. I don't know what to call it in English, but yeah.
Yeah, jack of all trades, master of none. I think
Yeah,
that's what they say.
I try to do as much as possible because the thing is cool. Yeah.
So it certainly is. You got any more, Dave?
No, I think that's about it. I'm just surprised he's got time to sleep.
I know. I am the man. The man is a machine, as we call him.
That's good thing with the COVID that strikes us a couple of years ago. Home office is very, very nice to have sometimes.
It certainly is. Yeah, this is my little office. This little abode. I think you call it a conservatory, but I like it's an office.
I used to drive 1 hour to each way to my work, so saving up those hours, it's very, very good for me and the family time and all things to come together. So it's good to have some home office.
I did like, and I don't know if you watched last week's with Russ Fowler. He obviously now works from home. So to get in the practice on the stream, what he said it would have taken me an hour to get into work. So for that hour, I'm doing a couple of races, and then late at night, I thought that was brilliant. Have you ever thought of doing that?
When I have time, I have been thinking of the thought of doing it, but when I'm driving the LMP1s and things like that with the European Sprint Series, it's an hour race, so I have not the time to sit down and do a whole race. So basically, I just leave it there and just do an hour after work and try to at least. And but I need to feel comfortable to race whenever racing. So I use a lot of time practicing as well. So try
Definitely.
to be fast without driving the official series.
Oh yeah, nobody wants to drive them.
Yeah.
Certainly not an LMP1 anyway on the European tracks.
So
Crazy.
I think it's Le Mans this week. So I hope I can manage a couple of races.
Well, I might tap you for some advice on how to use that boost button because I was completely using it at the wrong place. I must have, I must admit, for as long as it's on the server, mate. But
Of course.
Lewis, big thank you for joining us here on the podcast. It's always great we've seen that quite a few of the drivers, and I just thought it was fitting to get yourself into the stream, actually on camera,
Cool.
and obviously say thank you for your work and just show the viewers literally what it takes to do a broadcast. But before we let you go, Lewis, as we say to every other driver, is there anybody you'd like to thank or say?
No, thank you guys for bringing me in to do this. Thomas and Charles at Olympus for giving me opportunity to race with them, and of course Apex as well, because without Lee and the Apex as well, I'd never have met you.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. So, but thank you very much for joining us. We'll let you. I know you've literally just got through the door after a long day's work, so you can now go and have some well-earned evening meal and a lot of chilling with your family, mate. But thank you very much, Lewis, for joining us.
Thank you guys. See you on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll do, mate. Catch you later.
See ya.
So there was Lewis there. Obviously, it's great to see the insight. We've seen off a lot of the drivers and finding out a little bit more about it. But we always say on the broadcast, it's me and you on the front, and then Lewis at the back. But it's always good to see, certainly for our viewers, to show what it actually takes to put the broadcast on. How many bloody screens he has there to do it. 5 screens with a laptop on his lap as well for the webcams. It's no easy feat. I mean, I'm at the very early stages of being able to do the sort of level of broadcasting that Lewis has done. It's going to certainly take me a while, but I mean, the streams are just phenomenal, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just crazy. What it's basically a one-man team behind there. Like I said before, I've done real world broadcasts, being a producer out there, but obviously you have maybe 5 cameras and that's it. No onboards, no nobody else going, we need this or we need that. You decide the pictures, and actually, when you think about it, I would, a common karting event when I was producing, you'd have 5-6 cameras maximum to choose from, and you'd run the race through them, maybe an onboard camera. And Lewis, when we've got 60 cars, he's got 60 times TV cameras, onboard cameras, scenic cameras, and he could make many more if he wanted to. I'm sure he hasn't quite got the time to, but you can move the camera around to exactly where you want. I've seen some brilliant drone shots and that on iRacing as well. So there's so much you can do with it, and he manages to keep his cool and keep it all together as you're going around. But how you do that and how you get a computer powerful enough not to start stalling in the middle of a 2-hour endurance round Spa is pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, he's obviously got that liquid cooling, so that certainly helps out because, I've got the 3090 in mine and the same chipset as Lewis, and it certainly gets warm. It's not liquid cooled, so my partial legs get very toasty underneath my desk at the best of times anyway. But obviously we've got quite a bit of time. We've only got the 2 protests, but we'll do them a little bit later on. So what I thought we'd look at is the point standings. Now, I believe that the point standings may have been slightly wrong on Sunday, and if that is, that's my fault because I do the project files that Lewis uses for the race. So I thought we'd have a quick look at the points. Let me see if I can get this to work. Let me see. So, sure. There we go. Sure. Let's have a look at this. Here we go. So let's have a look down of the points. Obviously, the drop rounds have come into effect now. So the drivers' 2 worst rounds have been dropped from the season. So this is sort of like a true up-to-date reflection on where we currently are from a standings point of view. And obviously our very own Thomas Cope, who does do the pictures all for the rounds here, and we may even have time to have a look at a few of them, certainly from the Nürburgring from the last round out. But he's heading at the top of the pros at the moment. Has a 10-point gap over Matty Chambers in second place. Elliot Hellier in third on 71, and then it's almost like super close from fourth all the way down. So 66, 65, 63, 58. So that Pro League is certainly heating up. But Thomas got a bit of a nice lead at the moment, 10 points over Matty Chambers in second.
Yeah, it's a nice lead at the moment, but as we've seen already this season, Thomas, Matty, Elliot will take those three to start off with. All have had a bad race. They've all had one of them. Oh, that hasn't quite gone to plan. Elliot actually last time out. Matty Chambers, I think, was last time out as well. At the Nürburgring didn't quite go to plan for those two guys at Evo SR, which just gave Tom the advantage to, wouldn't say cruise home because it was green hell, but a 20-second lead. Brilliant run for him. Looking further down, you got Arias, who I don't think was at the Nürburgring, but
no, he wasn't.
Is still fourth in the points. Scott Mokes, great performance by him at the Nürburgring has put him up into fifth, but we've seen pace from Aaron Powell, Nikolai Frayne, Matt Loveridge, and that from Scott onwards down are just people who may have got caught in one or two incidents throughout the season, and that's where they've not been able to take advantage of it. We look down in 11th, Jakob Behrens in the Ford GT. He was running second at Nürburgring until it all sort of fell apart. And that second place could have boosted him right up the championship. So still a lot to play for in all of the classes, but especially the pros.
Yeah, I mean, we're only 5 rounds into a 12 round. We're not even at the halfway point yet. So still plenty of actions to go and plenty of incidences to be getting on. And exactly like you said, the top three drivers have all had bad rounds, so they can't rely on their drop scores. So, the pressure's certainly on the top three to make sure that the rest of the season they do get them valuable points. And as we've seen in many a race in that pro, they certainly don't hold back going into the first corner. And it's certainly not going to change, I don't believe, for the rest of the season on there. But coming down into the Pro-Ams, Dave.
Yeah, down in the Pro-Ams, we've got Michael Hooper leading away from Patrick Thompson, who missed the last round. So Patrick will be looking to fight back next time out for Nordic Racing. So it's a good day for Team Bear Pope. James Logston coming home in second, I think it was in the end, after I think a spin maybe or instant near the end of the race just sort of kept him from challenging Michael. So Michael got a bit of a cruise home in the class, but was up in a very strong position overall. Casper Tunstad, a driver which has slowly built up results as the years gone on. We saw him very quick in practice for Watlings Glen. And then Russ Fowler and Tom Bingham, who seem to be glued together at the Nordschleife, but glued together in the championship as well. Only 5 points between them, and that'll be a nice battle to see who comes out on top. Russ, I wouldn't be surprised if you hear Tom is faster than you at some point, just for the team orders, because Tom will want to. I said Tom, I would drop it, but I was quicker than you for most of practice at Nürburgring. And that's the last you'll hear of it for now.
I'm sure he goes by the Overlord now. I'm sure he changed his name.
Yeah. Well, we could change it on the championship if you want.
We should put the Overlord.
Yeah. And then a little lower down, we've still got Tom Stevens, who we haven't, I think he's missed a couple of rounds so far, but super quick. Hakon Julsen, who I could see is in the chat as well, had a good run in the Lamborghini until a spin, but I think he's still come home about fourth in class as well. So not bad by him. And then you still look further down, and there's so many quick drivers. Michael Cody showing well on his debut in the series last time out. Bit of a shame, but we believe that I think Daniel Merchant can't continue in the series. But these drivers do so many series along the way that sometimes something's got to give, and it's just the way it is. But yeah, if that's still down to 16th place, so there's 15 above him that are all still well in the fight.
They certainly are, and obviously, like you said, Michael Cody, his very first outing, did an exceptional job in the qualifying. I think it was third in class he was overall to start. Did slip back a little bit, but then regained a lot of it back in that last round on the Nordschleife. But the Nordschleife is one of them unique tracks. You either know it and are quite quick at it, or you don't. I mean, for instance, I went round. I think the guys were generally doing 8-minute 15s. A poor lap, and I did a lap. I think I'd done 3 or 4 laps, and my best was like an 8-minute 45 or 46 seconds. So I am uber slow around that place. And I think yours was 8:11, was it?
8:15 for me. It was
8:15 for you.
8:15 for me, and I know there's a couple of seconds in that, but I know Tom got an 8:08 in the end, so he did beat me, the Overlord. But you know, I think we can forgive you a little bit because it's has been mentioned before, and I'll show it on here if it sticks up. You know, you've mentioned that you use these as accelerator and brake on your wheel. And be honest, around somewhere like the Nordschleife where you have to balance the throttle so much, I think you can be forgiven a little bit.
I'll take that, even though that's a poor excuse for me. I'm normally quite quick on the tracks that I actually do know. So, yeah, but that.
Well, yeah,
but
not knowing where you're going is probably
exactly.
half the
Not
problem.
knowing to get the power on or anything. It's like driving Miss Daisy. But now looking down into the AM, I mean, we got Steve Pearce at the moment. 84 points has been super good and super consistent on the round, but he's being closely followed by Sander Island. He's sort of like crept up there. He's been there or thereabouts in the majority of rounds. And when we're getting into the AMs and the rookies, it's going to be all about that consistency of getting the points in the bag, because one silly mistake and you can find yourself at the back of the grid or even out of the race. We have got like the 4 classes for people who are new to the stream or whatever. So you've got the pros, the pro-ams, and then you've got AMs, and we have a 4th class called the rookies. So they're normally round about the, say, 1200 up. 1200 downwards is sort of like the rookie sort of iRacing, and then you've got the AMs, which is up to around about 1800, and then you've got the pro-ams up to around about 3k. So the AMs, they've got the experience there, but it's all about the consistency of points. We can see there, so the top 2, Steve Pearson, Sander Island, hotly contesting each other at this early stage in the season. Gordon Haig there at 72 points, followed by Joel Sal. Again, David Gills had a good start to the season, a couple of maybe dubious rounds that he's had, but he's there or thereabouts. So a super close AM championship is going to ensue.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm looking there and going, actually, Gordon Haug, when have we actually spoke about him? He's quietly done his business. And, we've mentioned David Gillen Fry before. We've mentioned Jimmy Vark, Matt Daniel Liljevic, Molderclef, Nigel Stocking with Ford, or with Brivik. But actually, Gordon's just quietly gone along and has done his job. At Nürburgring, Steve Pearce was there in the lead, a bit of an error there, and it just allowed Sander Island through. And like when we spoke to Sander, it was just about consistency around the Nürburgring and just trying to get that result that he wanted, and it managed to work out all right. So that's closed that championship right up.
It certainly has, and that's what we all want to see as viewers to a hotly contested championship. We don't want to see anyone run away. But the way we have the points set up in this championship, nobody can really pull away from the rest of the group, because it's not from overall positions, it's basically class positions. So there's only a 2-point difference between or 4-point difference on the hour-long races between first and second, and then it's only 2 points down from that, and it's even less. There's only 2-point difference on the 230 minutes. So there's no real opportunity that, if we call the old club sealers in a class because of their I rating, there's no way that they can get massively ahead of the field. But we do have stages where people have moved up and moved down, and we're looking at there. Jimmy Vark was in the pro-ams, we moved him down to the AMs, which seems to be more suited, and that's no disrespect to Jimmy, but it's more within the realms of where he is, even though his IO rating may be a little bit higher than what would be expected from an AM. But we can see him there in 7th place at the moment. Rookie class, I mean, that's a hotly contested class in its own as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we only had 4 drivers in a rookie class turn up for Nürburgring, and I'm not surprised about that. It's a tough circuit to get used to, but I mean, you look at that championship, and Paul Joseph Klisk has just jumped in ahead of Matthew Gerard and Lewis McCleveny, who have been the 2 winning all the time. I mean, Paul won last time out in Nürburgring, but the rest of the rounds have been shared between them 2 drivers. And it's just, we spoke to Paul after the race, and he did say it was a bit fortunate because he wasn't sure he was going to be able to catch Lydia, who it has been a comment in the Discord chat. I apologise if Lydia got wrong end of the stick with my comment on the commentary. I just thought if there was a yellow flag out, it could be an inexperience of why the incident happened. So it's not that I think you should have slowed down or it was a bad rejoin or wasn't a bad rejoin or whatever. It was just if there was a yellow flag, it's very easy as a rookie to sort of get almost target fixated on your driving and actually kind of miss that there might have been a yellow flag or something suddenly pop up, because iRacing's not very good at getting it out very quickly in terms of the yellow flags. So, but Lydia almost dominant at one point at Nürburgring, and now sits 4th in points and is in striking distance of them top 3. But it's going to be a close battle between them 4. And then obviously we still have Victor Lind, Rich Jameson Smith, who won the opening round. I keep saying that every time we see his name, and he's still well in there. And then so many other drivers who are there to score points along the way. So it's going to be a tight championship. I would say between the top 4, but I wouldn't rule out the next 2 either.
No, look, mate, Rich Jameson Smith, it showed when he has been racing, showed that he's constantly at the front end of that rookie class. But yeah, you mentioned about Lydia there. I think I remember her first race at Watkins Glen, super nervous, I think, and about the race and doing that, but she's starting to get into her stride now. I think she's trying to get their nerves in check, and every driver has their own way of getting their nerves in check for a race and getting out there. And certainly in the Nürburgring, she was absolutely dominant in that class, 20 seconds ahead of Paul. And Paul was no way going to catch Lydia, and unfortunately it was that incident coming around turn 13 going on to the Nordschleife that ruined sort of Lydia. But up until that time, she was absolutely flying. So, Lydia, you did exceptionally well, and it bodes good. I mean, it bodes well for the future of the rounds coming up. You're just going to grow in stature. Currently in 4th, so you're not off the opportunity to be able to get into that top 3. All it'll take is one of the guys in front to have a bad round, and the whole thing can change up again. But that's sort of a rundown of the points. Super close racing. Have I got the teams here? Let's see if I can see the teams. But because the teams obviously have had a little bit of a change over as well. So I've sorted the points out. So here's the team. So our new leader in the team championship is Team Bear Pope. I mean, you were saying about the last round and how bad Evo SR did. I mean, you look at the team in there. Elliott crashed out. Matty Chambers crashed out. Max Wolf didn't attend. So the only one really scoring points for them was Aaron Powell.
Yeah, and then you look at Sim Racing Norway, who had a good day with Gordon Haug and Sandra Ireland in there. Kim Andre Borkland kept his nose clean most of the time. So, they scored big points as well to close in on Evo SR. So, yeah, you look at that, and it's a really strong Team Bear Pope side. And actually, irony of ironies, we've been on about having almost a driver in every class so you can maximise your point score. You've got the top 2 in Pro-Ams in that team, and they're still, nicely going along. There's not actually a pro driver in that team either. So that's one section where they can't actually go and get a maximum score or anything from the day because they haven't got somebody in the top class. But Team Bear Pope just keeping their nose clean as it goes along.
Yeah, so the way the scoring for the team championship is the top 2 scorer within that team, and that's based on their class. So if you've so the ideal scenario would have been one in pro, one in pro am, one in am, and one in the rookies or whatever that were the fastest, and basically you would get absolutely maximum points. So it's a really good equalizer across all the teams, to say that even somebody that has a team of that's made up of AMs and rookies can still be fighting at the top with a team made up of pro and pro AMs, because it's all based on them finishing positions that we have. And like you said, Team Bear Pope is at the moment out in front, but we've just seen how easy a team can sort of fall by the wayside as such to be able to do that. And what's different about the team championship than the driver championship is that there are no drop scores in the team championship. So all 12 rounds count towards the championship. So you haven't got the luxury of having a bad day at the office with a team. So it really does affect you, as we've seen with Evo SR giving up the top spot.
Yeah, but as we said, only 12 points behind, 14 covering the top 3. Anything could happen now.
Yeah, definitely. So so that's the current team standings and the overall individual championship standings. It's all gearing up to be an excellent season, Dave. There's no one really in any of the classes that have streaked ahead. Opportunities are still there. We got another 7 rounds left to go, 2 being the endurance rounds, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, especially this weekend, because we've got the 2 hours of Spa, which is going to be entertaining in itself, but then the strategy comes into play. These guys are going to have to do possibly 2 stops throughout the race to make it to the end, and it's just, it's going to be an entertainment, and see who can play that strategy card as well as race well. So it'll be interesting, because it's the first one of the season.
Definitely is. So, like we said, let's have a little trip down memory lane with some of the photos from Thomas Cope. I don't remember this one though. I don't remember this flying V formation.
Yes, I heard. I saw something happening
did,
at the end, and then I just thought people were taking a pee, and it turns out that Nikolai Frame was being a little bit of a spoiler for the Porsche party.
Yeah, very, very much seemed like that. But always get them people on the back that just photobomb a picture. So yeah, Nikolai getting right in there. But some great pictures. I mean, great picture of the Ford chasing the Porsche there. I mean, it's great to see that Ford is actually in the championship. Nobody really wants to drive it, but like you said, at one point he was in second place.
Yeah, he's running really well around the Nordschleife, and as you can see, the car's just. This is what I was talking about before. There's places on this circuit with that setup where the cars were just taking off, which they normally wouldn't. So, entertainment all around.
Yeah, it definitely is, and great picture there. And then we got a couple of the Sim Norway guys in the Evo SRs. A relatively clean Evo SR car there, if I don't say so myself.
Ooh, a bit harsh.
I'm sure they're better.
To be honest, that was qualifying.
That was qualifying. Yeah. And then we've got the Lambo that we were mentioning earlier on. Not really a car of choice, really, has it been this season? The Lambo.
No, it was sort of the OP car a couple of
Yes,
seasons, last season or a couple of seasons ago, and it seems to have really struggled. I don't know why it was, but the update on the Porsche really made that hugely popular, and the Lamborghini sort of fell by the wayside. But I'm sure it'll have its time again.
They always seem to come round, don't they?
Yeah, Team Redline ran it for the Suzuka 10 hours at the weekend, so it's still popular among sort of the best teams going.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I love this picture. I love the contrast of the car in real focus, and then the back all quite faded out. I mean, what a track to get some absolute stonking pictures going around there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's great scenery, and that was everybody pitting, not the end of the first lap where everyone's towed.
Remember this bit? I do. I remember this one.
Yeah, I'm sure Tom may mention it along the way.
I'm sure it was you saying that. Oh yeah, and Russell's actually popped out of the carousel. This is where he's going to lose points. I remember this one.
Yeah, it's so easy to do popping out of that carousel, and then we got the pink Mercedes, which we can never miss on the broadcast.
You certainly can't. But no, some absolute cracking photos by our very own Thomas. I was looking at this one earlier, and I was wondering what this was, but it looks like, is it narrowed? Was that barrier?
A crash barrier?
Ah, right, yeah. I was looking at it thinking that's an unorthodox picture, but yeah, crash barrier.
No, Thomas was drunk when he got round to that one.
Had a couple of gins.
Yeah,
but no, there's another barrier.
Yeah, that's a barrier.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. I just thought it was a narrowed down, blurred out top shot, but yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, Hakon saying that's a good overtake from a Lamborghini in the picture. Well, actually, I think the other car was on the inside, so unless you were driving around the outside of him.
That was it. Wasn't that the pass he made on our very own Overlord?
Yeah, it was. And
it certainly was. But
and here's the this would be Matt Loveridge, yeah.
It's got to be Matt, unfortunately, yeah, because I think Thomas Cope's car could have drove back into the showroom. I don't think it had a ding on it.
Yeah, Thomas Cope saying he was just experimenting. What, with the crashing or the pictures?
Yeah. Coming down the dot on the hole there, There's just some brilliant pictures. There's some great memories, You can see there's that car going off the ground. Yeah, that's
just about. That's
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah, Paul. Nice striking livery, but some great pictures and great memories. I mean, there you go. There's a car airborne. So we've had a pro and an am doing exactly the same at that corner.
Yeah, that's Team Bear Pope doing a couple of jumps for the camera.
Another one. Look at that. That is Scotty Mokes getting a little bit airborne off the track.
I will tell you from a rally I've been to a few times when I've been marshalling. This is a period where the cameraman would be lying down at this point going, "Don't worry, the car will fly over me." It's like, no, you better move. Luckily on iRacing, we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, it does. Obviously, that is that. Yeah, that's out on the. I thought that was a GP track.
That's a GP track just coming up to the tight chicane near the end of a lap.
Ah, yes, so it is. Yes, before they go out onto the green hill.
That's something you'll have to do with me. Just take you a load of pictures of circuits, and I'll tell you where they are because that's just before that picture.
This one is coming out of the Center S's, the turner at the top on there.
I think that's the Schumacher S. So you've just come out of Dunlop. And
coming up the front. Is it that one or is it? I think it's the one at the top. It's after the Schumacher S's where they take the left-hander and then they turn right going down the straight.
Yeah.
Do you mean I got one right and you didn't?
Oh, yeah, possibly.
Get in.
I think we all know that.
We won't go there on that one. I ain't got a clue when you go out onto there.
That honestly looks like near the start of a lap where you've got the flat out right before you do the long track down to
bit of a dip.
Yeah, it bends around the corner.
But no, some absolutely cracking photos done by our very own Thomas Cope. And if you like what you see, then just head over to his Discord page, TC Simography, or obviously look for Thomas Cope on Discord, and he will can do the same what he's doing for our league. He's already done 5 rounds, so there must be round about at least 100 plus photos at the moment of all the drivers can use on there.
He does this while he's driving around,
Yeah, I know he does. Obviously, that's how he gets 20 seconds ahead. He could have been 2 minutes, but he just stopped, got his camera out, took a few pictures. Cool. So there's our very own Mr. Cope. So we best get on to these 2 incidences, haven't we? Really?
Yeah, I don't think there'd be too much to talk about either because I do remember both of them. So
I do.
Thank you for giving us less work to do, guys. But it doesn't make much of a podcast.
Yeah, it does. It does. We get an opportunity to meet other people, look at a few other things. We don't want to have 50 penalties, so don't you kiss a death us there, Dave. We'll be here all night.
We've got 2 hours of Spa coming up. You've got 2 hours to make chaos. But yeah, no.
Mm.
Well, Andy gets that loaded up. The thing is to remember is that if you have, if you do want to be interviewed on a podcast at any point and you've got a camera and a mic, then just let us know. It doesn't have to be next week. You know, we've got another 7 races to fill, so feel free to throw yourself forward towards that. So yeah, we'll just take a few minutes, and this is the this will be the protests we have got so far. I'll just get the protests up while Andy just has to pop off for a second. So we'll have 2 protests. Let me just find the spreadsheet of doom. Penalty sheets. If you've got any questions about the series or anything like that, feel free to pop them in the chat and I can help to gap fill. This is why I'm a commentator. We're good at gap filling. So we've got 2 incidents. One is Jimmy Vark has sent one in, and one has Matty Chambers sent one in. So we'll be looking through both of them. Both on the. It's really weird seeing it saying lap 1 and lap 2, even though it was probably about half an hour into a race, knowing the Nordschleife as it is. And we're just going through the scenic cams. Like Andy says, what a circuit it was. We got to drive around, and we get another picturesque circuit next week. Well, this Sunday, with it being Spa. I hope you're looking forward to 2 hours around Spa. Really exciting race. A lot of people will have done the Spa 24 hours and things like that. And you've just got to work out your strategy, because 2 hours on a set of tyres isn't too bad. So are people going to take risk and try and do 2 hours on a set of tyres, or will people go for fresh tyres? I know you won't want to give your strategy away already, but with 60 litres from a start, it's probably going to be a 2-stop. If you can stretch it to 1, I will be amazed at your fuel saving skills, but you just never know. And hopefully we'll get a full grid come up onto the I knew Andy was back because the mouse was diving around the screen like a madman. But yeah, we've got basically Spa coming up, and hopefully we'll see a full grid there. But let's head on to the instance.
Let's have a look, see what we've got tonight for our viewing pleasures. And Michael, was you saying I was wrong there? Did you just steal my moment of glory over Dave?
No, I think, actually, he might have been.
He might
the
well
left
have been.
hand. Yeah, I think, yeah.
It's shocking, that, isn't it? You know, I can't even have had a moment of glory there.
The first one we have is Matty Chambers with an appeal to Oscar Christensen, and that is on lap 1. Yeah, that's lap 1 though. I was trying to save you having to wind forward.
All right. So
last corner of the GP track as you come out onto the Nord.
I think I remember this one as well.
Yeah, I remember this. It was one of Lewis's many first replays.
Yeah. Trying to find, where are you?
Yeah, just to let you know, Mr. Hooper, because you've undermined Andy Thompson, who does the scores, you're now on 0.
Yeah, minus. You don't diss the hand that gives you the opportunities here. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Lap 1.
Lap 1.
GP track. So.
All right. Well, he only did 1 lap.
Yeah, I think he retired straight after this. So. So it's the last corner of the GP track.
Yeah. I'm just trying to savour it because we've only got 2 to look at, so I'm just trying to. So it just amazes me how close these pros get. You know, it's like, right, and I think Elliot put it really well last week, didn't he? Or 2 weeks ago, when he basically said, you know, it's all about the fielders that close in the pro category. You need to get that them position advantages as soon as you as you possibly can, because it's so hard to pass. But let's have a look. There we go. Let's get full screen for. So was it through Oscar?
Yeah, I think it was just a dive onto what is called turn 13, ironically. The easiest corner name on the circuit. Yeah. The incident happens just as I look away. There we go. So we can rewind back.
Yeah, there was no room there at all to.
Yeah, I could see what he was thinking, and I could see why he thought he might be able to do it, but Matty was carrying too much speed compared to what Oscar probably thought he was going to carry in.
There was
And
no
obviously it doesn't.
opportunity there,
No.
in my eyes. Pretty much everyone knows that corner. You're not able. The line, the normal racing line, is to take it wide, then come in to the corner, like pretty much everyone else does. And unfortunately, I think Oscar tried that little bit too hard, and
yeah, he went for a move, and
then Matt decided to do an extra spin just for gigs.
Yeah, and obviously something must have been broke from there, or broke further around the lap, because he didn't manage to. I would say we'll watch the rest of the lap and see what happened, but he could have got all the way around to the pits for all we know, and that would take about 8 minutes. So I don't think we want to do that. But yeah,
So
no, it's definitely
a level 2.
Yeah,
level 2. Yeah. Right. Okay, and then the last one. And then if any of the drivers want to look back at some memorable moments, because there was some memorable, we can have a look at them.
Yeah,
and,
if you've got any moments you want to see, fire it into the chat and we can try and have a look. The next one is obviously lap 2, and this was where I think we saw Elliot have his issue, and then he got clipped near the end of the lap. I think the decision is whether the clip was accidental or obviously something penalty worthy.
What I would say is, help us out a little bit here of where the corner is, because I think
I can tell you it was just before the mini carousel.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but
so you're better going to.
Oh wait a minute, is that Beloff's? Is that where?
Yeah,
it was?
If you go to lap 3 and wind backwards, it'll be quicker.
It's lap 1 anyway, isn't it? It's lap
no, it's lap 2. So if you go to lap 3 and then wind back.
Right. He'll probably go because he went to the pits, didn't he?
Yeah. So it's just.
There we go.
There we are.
Let's have a look at this.
So what we saw was previously Elliot had gone off from the lead. So this is where we're just trying to see what the catch up is. So he comes down the hill where you just take off, and Elliot is a bit slow for some reason through there, and just. On initial look, unless I know why Elliot's going that slow all of a sudden, which I think we only found out through cockpit cam yet. I'm not quite sure. Like he comes over the jump, and I wonder if this breaks something on the car. No.
Oh, he's still accelerating.
Yeah. Does it? No, he doesn't bend anything there.
He's gone down a gear.
He's gone down a gear.
I think his speed is because of the incident he had before. It maybe his speed is compromised.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's gone down because he goes up to the top end of the rev zone 5th, and I'm just wondering if he felt something breaking there because of the incident he had before breaking on the car. Now this is a difficult one because obviously Elliot hasn't done there isn't a brake test here as far as we know. We'll have a look from behind anyway. But as you can see, I'm not quite sure what happens there, to be honest.
No. One thing I will say, and as we've said before, is always the cars behind responsibility to make that passing move safely. So, I mean, this is a prime example. If you remember,
if we try chase view on Elliot.
I think from Watkins Glen, where I think it was either Scott or Matt. I think it was Matt Chambers, wasn't it? Because he started from the back of the grid. Or was it Scott? It's one of the two. Anyway, we were looking at going up the S's, and he was going behind a slower class, and basically hit into the back of the slower class. Now, this is like a carbon copy, although obviously Jimmy's a pro am and Elliot is a pro. But you can sort of see, if we say chase cam, so you can see up here, you can see Jimmy's now closing in on Elliot. There's no brake lights at all.
No.
There should have been some realization. Certainly, pound that side of the track is my sort of take. This is the bendy part of the track that it goes left to right to left to right, and you can sort of see.
I can only think that as he built, because this is the first time you've really built up speed into fifth gear and stuff, that bouncing over all these bumps and stuff, something is looser in the steering than it should be. And what he's done is felt it. Because if you see, he's not trying to use all of the track. It does look like he's trying to stay right to a point. Because he comes, if you just go back a touch more, just before the contact, he's not using the whole of the track when he gets to that stage. So he's already had the bump with the barrier, which we saw on the stream. And then through all of this, the car's taking off, it's sort of bending down. Michael Hooper say it's a slowdown from an S curve. It depends where are you going for this slowdown though? Because from here. Possibly, but he's got a lot of other circuit to take it. It's quite a way.
It's quite early on, isn't it? You normally get around about 30 odd seconds.
But if you see here, when he gets to this corner, he is trying to stay tight. He is trying to get out of the way. Because if not, if you watch Jimmy's line, he would be drifting out to go to the left of the circuit. If you go really slow, as slow as you can on this bit, and you can see that when we get to the cars going together, so I've leant back thinking my microphone's on my headphones and it's not. You can just see, I don't know whether he's slowing down to get rid of a slowdown, and he does realise that Jimmy's behind him and he's trying to get out of the way, but obviously Jimmy doesn't know he's going to back off there, of course, because that's just not expected. But you see, he is going right, he's going right, he's still trying to stay right, and you would be sort of heading towards middle of a track going left if you were at full pace. So I do think he's trying to get out of the way. It's just a bad place. It's probably the straightest bit since the slowdown to try and get rid of it, if it is a slowdown. But if it's took somebody out of a race by you trying to get rid of a slowdown in one of the fastest places of the circuit, that's where it becomes slightly questionable.
But then on the flip side, and this is why it's really hard to call, is that Jimmy could see, I mean, if you look on board on the cam, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, is that, if we're going along, you see how quickly he's catching him there.
Yeah.
And when we see Jimmy put on the brakes, chase. So if we play it normal when we get to the corners, it's coming down here. So he's really closing up now. Yeah. But he's not slowing down to stop himself from really careering into the back end of him. It's here when he's literally right on him.
Yeah.
Going. So, going that quick into, and we're expecting you to have, I suppose, eyes.
Awareness.
A second sense, but having an awareness that something's not quite right with the car in front, because you would know who it is on his relative because you can see his name. So you'd be able to see it's Elliot, who is a very quick driver anyway. I'm catching him at a rapid rate of knots. Something is not quite right here. And where you are on the circuit, so, I mean, there's opportunity to take him out here wider. I mean, obviously, like you said, that Elliot does move over to the inside of the track. There is opportunity to take him. It's just, it happens so quickly. And
it happens so quickly. And I do think it's, obviously this isn't like anything like that. It's it is. It's really difficult to call because obviously from Elliot's side he is trying to get out of the way, and Elliot could say, well, you were closing, like Andy said, he was closing so quick. And
right, let's have a look at this. He's not actually. Do you know where you said he's in 5th gear? He's not, because watch, he's in 4th gear at the top. When he moves to 5th, obviously, when he goes over this jump up here, he goes right up to 5th and then drops right down to the bottom of the 5th rev. So that I think there's some damage from the earlier. See there, and then he goes back down to 4th, and he's not even at full revs on 4th. So I think there's some speed damage to the car here. He's not getting up to. You can see he's in 5th gear and going nowhere.
I believe we do have a confirmation that it was a slowdown from because Hellier Racing is in the chat. He says they're literally nowhere to serve this. So I think saying he had nowhere to serve this, it was a slowdown. Michael, 4th gear through that corner wouldn't be normal. I've done 5th and 6th through there with a fit car. So yeah, you can see as Elliot's coming through, he goes up into 5th gear, and there is no sort of grunt as such. And then obviously he's got a small section of track here where he can see the other cars. I wouldn't say it was a strategic move either, because as mentioned,
they're not fighting each other.
Exactly. They're not in the same class. But yeah, I think so. It's a difficult one because I could say, Jimmy's got caught out, but then it's quite obvious that you're closing on him pretty quickly. So it's a difficult one to call in terms of a penalty. I think in terms of racing. Sorry, I will move my mic down here so you can actually hear me better. I just have to lean back every now and again. In terms of racing, I don't think anyone's tried to be strategic. I think, for example, Elliot's just trying to do it at the best part he can, which is the straightest, clearest bit. And this wiggly bit, if you start backing off fairs, people will second guess you and things like that.
As we keep saying, if you're the slower car, if you're say a slower car and a pro was coming up to overtake you, you basically stay on that racing line, and basically it's the responsibility of the car that's coming up to make that overtaking passing move. Now you could say this is an exact carbon copy of what we're trying to say here, is that Elliot, he is slowing down to doing a penalty, a slowdown penalty, and obviously slowing down, and the car behind has the responsibility to make that. Now, the mitigating circumstances for me here is that basically the speed at which he catches him. If you watch this,
just to clear up something saying in the chat, yes, where he backs off may not be predictable, but his line is predictable. And considering you've literally just said stay on line and be predictable, he actually is being. So that side.
But if you look how quickly, I mean, you're quite far back here. You're gaining. Oh shit! And then they hit him. It wasn't like you were far away and then all of a sudden, bang! You were It was literally like this, and then hit. It wasn't like a quick. To me, it wasn't like a quick thing. I think, and.
Yeah, it's not like you're in 5th gear and then he's in 2nd, for example, and you just caught him. It is quite obvious throughout this that you are closing in.
You're catching. It's.
I can see you say you've got under 2 seconds. I don't. You still close that 2 seconds really quickly.
It was within the space of.
It's not like in that time you haven't got
2 corners. You're on.
Don't get me wrong. We're not. Jimmy, we're not saying you're wrong. That's the thing. Like people are jumping in the chat saying, like Team Bear Pope in the chat saying he doesn't care and he's blaming me. He's not. What we're doing is we're discussing. We're trying to tell you what you could have done before we make a decision on the whole thing, and we've gone through Elliot and we've said could have if it's a slowdown, which is now pretty much confirmed. He was trying to get out of the way, and we saw that instantly that he was trying to get out of the way at that point, probably because he didn't realise you were so close to him. And then once you've caught him so quickly, because half an eye is on the slowdown, always is. You're always looking at that clock going, oh, how long have I got to get rid of it? And we could see him trying to move out of the way. So we've got to look at your side as well and work out what you could have done better. And to us, like Andy explained, you're catching him relatively quickly. During the changes in class, you were put into an AM category. That doesn't mean anything in particular, but obviously it gives us an indication of your pace generally. And you're catching Elliot Helliers, who's been out there winning races. So there's got to be a sort of moment where you go, hang on a minute, this isn't quite right.
I suppose. I mean, you can't say that in the race because obviously you're racing. You may not look anything and stuff like that. But
it depends if you're looking at relative, obviously. I just to go in the chat.
Why did you not report your incident? Just curious.
Yeah, that's to do with Lydia's, which we did see. Which I did, as I said, I don't know if Lydia was in the chat when I spoke. Tom says, can you play the full thing at full speed, which you are doing, or you were doing. But yeah, Lydia, just to make it clear with the comment in the Discord, it wasn't meant as disrespect in terms of the... just in terms of the yellow flag comment I made, it was just a passing comment that if you may have been focused on what you were doing, you may not have seen the yellow flag if it had come out. But as we said before, I racing very slow on that. So apologies if you did think I was being offensive with that. In terms of it not being in your class, though, still appeal it because we want to keep this as clean as we can. So if you think you've been aggrieved, whether it's somebody in your class or not, please put it in. We can look at it, we can void it, whatever. I mean, as I say, we've got 2 incidents today. So we would have had time to look through it. It's if we get every kind of incident in that isn't protestable, that's when we'll be like, hang on a minute. But for me, Lydia, yours would have been something to look at, which we can go in to look at after this anyway, just as a guidance thing.
Right. So obviously the penalty is from Jimmy to Elliot. I think Elliot has done. Yeah, he's got to slow down. He has to serve it, otherwise he's going to get a huge penalty. Certainly around here, he is. To me, staying on the racing line as if you're a slower car, that's what you've been told to do.
Yeah.
I think what's caught Jimmy out is that it basically closed down. It wasn't like a smack like that. It was a close down over like 3 corners, but it was a quick close down. There was opportunity to go to the left if you really wanted to, or could do, to stay out here as you were closing down quite quickly. To me, it's a racing incident.
I think the issue with that, in terms of the staying to the left comment, which a few people have said, and you've just mentioned yourself, is the racing line does drift left on the exit of there if you're at full speed. So, for example, Elliot wouldn't have gone there thinking, well, Jimmy might not be able to keep it tight enough through the corner, drift out wide, as we saw at Donington a week ago. And
the contact was made literally here.
Yeah, Jimmy could be thinking, I'll go left. And if I go left, Elliot might run out wide because he's at a certain speed or whatever, might not be able to keep it close. Performance Linky did seem to have a penalty. I honestly think it's kind of a misjudgment by both.
Yeah,
which leads towards a racing incident. It I mean, for those who have seen the Grand Prix, and spoiler alert, Lewis and Max, for example, I know it's not quite the same incident. Somebody made a perfect comment to it that when you go and play poker, if you've ever played poker, at some point you both go all in and you turn the seventh card. And when you turn the seventh card, somebody loses out. And that's how a racing incident normally works. And I think both, but it's really
there's
difficult.
arguments for both, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's argument. Okay, Elliott could have gone out, but where could he have gone out on the track? If he goes out wide, then what's the car behind thinking? Well, what the hell is he going to do? So, as we say, is stay on the racing line, be predictable. He's not going any slower. It's not like he's slammed on the anchors. So that for me is a mitigating why Elliott did what he did, right? Jimmy probably coming round as well. There was an opportunity to possibly go to the left. That corner racing line is that, but obviously the closing speed that was happening during that
I would
event
also dictate. I mean, I don't know this, but we don't know how much time was left on that slowdown. So Elliott could have got to that stage for, I can get to this point of the circuit where you can go too wide, and then, oh, no, I can't. So he's lifted off, not knowing that Jimmy is literally that close, because you have caught pretty quickly, to be fair. And this is what we're saying in general. I think we're both agreeing that both sides could have done better on it. And I don't know whether, to me, it's a penalty, but I think it's something. For example, with Elliott, and I mean Elliott's in the chat. I would say to you, Elliott, it's one just to learn that obviously you're trying to get rid of a slowdown. Think you've tried to think about where it is. Maybe you haven't quite judged where the car behind is when you've had to slow down a bit. I mean, you haven't slowed down dramatically. You're still in fourth gear.
He's topping out of fourth gear. He's gone from fit. So, I mean, the thing for me is he's not like his bars are not like up here to say that he's going super quick. He's at the low end of the fifth gear, literally just gone into fifth gear. And then if we move it on, going into the corner.
I believe he's probably trying. I mean, obviously, this is on lap 2. So the slowdown will be relative to his lap 1. Yeah, just check whether that's something. If we can find out what Elliott has got in terms of speed and how much he actually backs off, because what I'm saying in the whole grand scheme of things is it's easier for a driver around the Nordschleife to lose the penalty as he goes, because it's the second lap, so it judges it on your first lap. So if you've gone through here flat out last time by, it will reduce your penalty if you don't go through flat out. And I don't see him going at a staggeringly reduced pace. I mean, did you see much change in his speed?
No, he was actually speeding. He was speeding up in this, coming up at 217, 215, 214, 212. So he goes like 7 kilometers an hour different, which is not a lot in these cars. It's not like it's 30 or 40. It's very marginal speed. So there's not a lot more Elliott could have done in my eyes. And I mean, see 239 here and 210 to 217. You're already going 20 k's an hour faster than him.
Thanks for that, Tom.
It's basically, you can see now. The thing is, now you can see it now. It's closing. You're closing really quickly. So something's wrong with the car in front. But at no point, what I would say from an educational point of view is no point do you come off that accelerator until you're just about to hit him, I would say, Jimmy. So, I mean, if you watch here, and this is very much educational, we're not playing the blame game. We're just showing what could have saved both your races here. You're doing 238, 239. You're closing. That speed is going up, not down, until now you realize you're going to hit him, and then you're on the brakes. You could.
Lydia, I don't think Judge Dredd would be a good one for this one. Maybe Judge Rinder or Judge Rinder. What was it? Judge Judy. That was the other one, wasn't it? Maybe get one of them in for this. But you asked what the penalties are. They are in the rules. There's stage 1, 2, and 3. For this, you probably, the closest thing you would have to a penalty is sort of dangerous driving stroke brake testing. But obviously, there isn't a brake test there. Just to make that abundantly clear, I'm just trying to actually. It's one of them where you could give a 1 place penalty. I think it's 1 place and 1 point and 1 penalty point and 3 points or something like that. Best thing is to check rules because we can't quite remember them exactly. But if we were going to give a penalty, we would get rules out and try and work out which one it goes under. But I honestly think it's more. This is more educational for everybody. That on a tight circuit like this, I would say, Elliot, you could have tried. You could have tried to lose it a little bit sooner, maybe off the racing line. I know it's difficult. It's a Nordschleifer and all that. I get exactly what you're doing because I'll be honest, if any of us had a slowdown, we'd all probably be doing the same. We wouldn't just stop out on track and get rid of it. I would disagree with that one, Team Bear Pope. I wouldn't say that one of the drivers is taking a conscious decision. Elliot is taking a conscious decision to try and get rid of a slowdown in a relatively progressive way, and you've got to take the relative decision that you go through that left-hander just beforehand, and you are catching. You've already caught a huge amount just over that hill, and that's where even a tap of the brake, or an ease off the throttle, might have just given you that a little bit more time to react. Because obviously the nods, it's almost like I say to people when we go karting and they've run into the back of somebody in a similar situation, into a braking zone. Normally, it would be. And it's, you can't drive through a car which is there. And I'm not saying you try to, because this is different, because this is flat out. I'm not saying you should have slammed on the anchors. I'm just saying you could have realised you're catching him and eased up a bit and just given yourself that split second. See, if that right-hander beforehand, if you had eased up, because you realised there you're catching him, if you had eased off, which I don't know if you do, what's the pace until
it's 241 there, so we'll move on slow. 242, still 242, 243, so going quicker.
Tom, if you're in the chat, you're a moderator. Could you remove Andy Thompson's girlfriends, please?
And then it's here where obviously the speed.
Yeah,
where by that time the door's well and truly.
So there isn't a lift there, and Elliot's just trying to get out of the way.
There may have been a lift to keep, but the speed was still there and increasing. So we can't say what the inputs of the controls are.
No, sadly we don't get that. That would be brilliant if we could.
Yeah, I think both. There's arguments for both. Jimmy, you're in the back, so you are controlling how you think you hit into the back of Elliot.
And also, we're not saying you're not trying to avoid.
No,
we're just saying.
Obviously, you hit into the back of Elliot.
More time.
Now, the mitigating circumstance it is, and Elliot obviously held his hands up and said, "Yeah, it was a slowdown." He was trying to do the slowdown, but he wasn't slowing to like a crawling pace. He was still doing a half decent pace. I think he was about 30 k's an hour slower than what you or 20.
And Michael, he had already been off in the wall earlier in the lap, and he did have damage.
Yeah.
We know it. We know personally he had damage because we had the replay. I think he saved it actually.
I think
just
he did
after
it
the carousel, and then he hit the wall soon after. So yeah, but he did have damage on the car.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think from both parties we can see what people are saying.
Yeah.
My verdict on this is a racing incident because there's blame from Jimmy and there's blame from Elliot. Yeah, I think there's partial blame between the both of them. So rather than giving both of you a penalty, I'm going to give none of you a penalty and say it was a racing incident. So that's I think that's my verdict.
Yeah, Michael,
What's yours?
Driving a car back to a pit is not unsafe, and it's not an unsafe car because he's up in fifth gear and he's not spinning off the track. So it's not
grabbing.
like you're dragging a car back to the pits. And we saw people crabbing cars back to the pits this week, and we're not going to penalise them. So no, it doesn't quite say that, but no, I honestly think myself, I would say, I know this isn't quite in the rules in terms of things, but Elliot, I would say that's kind of a bit of a warning for you in terms of like if we see you do another slowdown somewhere on another circuit and a similar thing happens, then obviously that once unlucky, twice getting a bit silly type thing. So just be aware of who's behind you. And with Jimmy, I think, yeah, I will answer that question in a minute. But for me, in terms of Jimmy, I think because you are in another class, and you're probably looking at it going, why is Elliot anywhere near here yet? Or I'm catching this car pretty quickly. I think you just need to, a little lift and a little, lose a second to gain that second of judgment time.
Okay, I will play devil advocate and ask you, Jimmy, where would have been the ideal opportunity for Elliot, considering where you are on the track, to lose that speed? Because you've got a twisty bit right here as well. You just got
Haley,
through
we will watch Lydia's.
And that is, I understand what you're saying, mate, and it's shit that it ended your race. But there's blame on both sides of it. You could have slowed down if you wanted to. You kept the power on until it was too late. Elliot was obviously serving his slowdown penalty, staying on the racing line to be predictable for a passing opportunity, and unfortunately, there was a collision coming into the corner. So, my verdict is racing incident. What's yours, Dave?
That's the same for me. Just to say, saying before Plans Garden really doesn't help us. You saw we didn't know names of corners during the weekend, so you'd need to be a bit more clear what you mean by before Plans Garden, because on the run down the hill. Okay, so if we just go back very quickly,
I'm not gonna start looking at other incidents. It wasn't protested, so I'm not gonna give anybody a penalty on a previous incident. We look at each of these incident guys based on what you've said is the description of the fault. We look at the incident. We can't then, if we've not got the decision, say, well, can you have a look about 2 corners back because he did the same? You should have protested that. Unfortunately, you didn't.
I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying the bit that comes downhill. So if you just quickly wind back to where Elliot got the slowdown, and then I can see the piece of track that.
I don't know where it was. Where was it?
It was just before this. Just before this. So here.
There.
So that's where the slowdown's been got. Coming down here, possibly, but it is flat out, and it depends when you pick up the penalty. If you pick it up here, it's a little too late for you. You can't back off around here. There's no way you can back off around here. It's too narrow, and then then he's probably thinking, right, Jimmy's a second or so behind. I know I can get to X point of the circuit, and then obviously you've just caused him so much quicker.
It's hard in this. It's not like it's a wide, expensive track.
No.
To give the opportunity. This part of the circuit is a twisty part. So whichever way you look at it, and if Elliot comes offline and aggressively stops, you could have the same incident there that he's been more aggressive to stop to let you pass.
And in terms of too wide, net code could very easily have come into play as well. But I get what you're saying, Jimmy. I don't think he would have. I mean, by the time you've accelerated off there and got to this point, you've realised you got the slowdown and got time to think about what's going on. This bit's all a bit too tight to do anything around. You don't want to be slowing up around here, and then you've got to think this is the Nürburgring. So by the time he's found somewhere which he thinks is good to do it, he's running out of time to do it as well.
Yeah.
So we're saying it's a racing incident. We think both sides can learn from it, and if this incident came up at Spa with the two same drivers and or one of the two same drivers, so Jimmy runs into the back of somebody, or Elliot, slows and allow somebody runs into the back of him, then obviously we look at it differently because we go, hang on a minute, this has happened before. Maybe it doesn't need to be quite right. In terms of a bigger slowdown, we can't control that. Drivers get rid of their slowdown how they need to get rid of it. It's a nightmare at all on the Nordschleife to get rid of slowdowns. And also, I'll be honest, if you're a racing driver, whether you're on a sim or anything like that, and you get a slowdown or a penalty, you're going to find every way to get rid of it in the best possible way for yourself. So if you take that time to get rid of it, and you think you can get rid of it in that way safely, then you can. And he, this is so close to being able to do it, because you get another 50 meters around the corner. Elliot's on the right, Jimmy's on the left, and there isn't a problem whatsoever. Yeah, that was Andy's vape. But yeah, we've said it's a racing incident, but we certainly, I would say there's a marker in my mind, maybe not Andy's, but in my mind for future reference that this has happened between these two drivers, and if either are involved in something like the same again, then obviously we look at it in a different light. But we won't go back to a penalty, but obviously we may go to, oh well, this one, we think this one is a penalty. So you have the right to
appeal it if you want to
appeal it, but I also want to throw it one way, that if somebody else sees this, Jimmy, and gives his view, he could very easily say that you ran into the back of somebody and give you a penalty.
It's the responsibility of the car behind to look at it, but it is both ways. I'm of a different, I'm thinking that I don't think Elliot did anything wrong. He didn't aggressively stop. He didn't aggressively thing. It was just unfortunate that Jimmy was close behind him. Because, like you're saying, where he's going through these twisty corners, there's not a easy place to just let it off and get out the way. He probably thought that he had space to maybe bleed all the time off before the 30 second or before the big penalty came in. So I think in my eyes, Elliot didn't do too much wrong.
I get
it just caught out. So
I get where Jimmy's coming from in terms of feeling aggrieved at the time, but we've gone over
you do
and
it
over
at the time.
again.
You always do. You always feel aggrieved, don't you?
Elliot hasn't literally done anything wrong. He hasn't stamped on the brakes. He hasn't slowed down dramatically. We said it was about 7 kilometers per hour.
Yeah,
maximum that he's slowed down. Yes, you're still building speed, but it's a situation that, like I said, if you went to another appeal, they would give a different opinion. If you went or could give a different opinion, and it could actually come back to haunt you.
Yeah,
I'm not saying don't appeal it; it's down to you. But I'm just warning you.
That's our verdict is racing incident. If obviously, Jimmy, if you still feel that you think that's wrong, then by all means you've got the right to appeal, and maybe you can throw a bit more info in there and put your pedals so we can see your inputs on the screen, or also say we wouldn't see it. It basically, as Tom said, it goes to people outside of the league who have nothing to do with us to give their verdict on the decision.
I would also just say that I can see your comment saying about looking at your relative. I just think in terms of the relative, I'm not on about relative. You're looking out the front screen and you can visually see your closing. You don't even need to look at relative to see that. You're visually closing on the guy pretty quickly. Doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't even need to be Elliot. It could have been a rookie for all we know. And you're visually closing on him, easing off that throttle just in case, he could have a bit of steering damage for you. You just didn't know. And actually on a right hand, it's a bit difficult for him to turn. And that's why he was a bit slower through that corner. It wouldn't be Elliot's fault that he's got a little bit damage and you haven't judged it.
So just looking at your relative speed to look at there. So we're looking at 213 here, 212, 25 coming around here, creeping up again to 217, coming around here to 29. So it's not like it's not the 40Ks you're looking at, mate. It's literally 8Ks maximum from when you weren't near him. At his slowest point, which was back here, he's doing 211. In fact, there's his slowest point at 205 Ks, and you're that far away from him.
I
you go
do
further
think...
on. You go further on,
Yeah,
2.5. Then he's going up to 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.12, 2.17. Then he comes to 2.4, down to 2.14, and then obviously that's when they hit. So you're talking marginal amounts of kilometers per hour. There isn't the 40Ks that I'm seeing on this screen now that I'm basically watching. So
yeah,
that's where it is.
We're not saying you wouldn't have slowed down. You know, I can see you say, I promise if I'd seen him slowing, I would have done. It's very easy to get either
now, I'm not
target
saying,
fixated or...
I'm not saying that would be the normal speed to go through there.
Yeah.
But what we are saying is that he is consistently within 6 odd Ks. So it's not like there's a dramatic change in speed. And that's why you're closing on him, because you are going at normal speed through that corner. So it's not like he's going, he's not taking it down. Yes, he is slower than what you would normally do, and we all know why now, because he admitted that he was doing a slowdown, so he was going slower, but he was consistently going at that speed, so he wasn't erratic in braking hard.
We also know he did have damage beforehand, because he was heading for the pits. We know that from the damage, and obviously ended up in the pits after this because of even more damage. But yeah, it straight line speed could be affected by the damage. A bit of steering damage could affect this thing, and we're not like we say, it's a racing incident. Both sides could have done a little bit better on it, and that's, like Tom says, that's why it's a racing incident. And you know, we're not saying you've caused anything, and we're not saying Elliot's caused anything. Both could have done a little bit better, and that's why
it basically ruined both of your races. But both of you got taken out for that incident. So
this wasn't after his fast repair, because he led lap 1.
Yeah, I don't think he had a fast repair when this happened, because this was the second incident. So he already used.
No,
his
he
fast
hadn't
repair.
got to it.
No, I'm sure he had.
This was the lap where
this
he
is
went
second
off.
lap. He went in the first lap.
Did he?
Yeah, he went in the first lap, done a fast repair, and then had that off again because he was trying to catch up. That's why, and that's why he's down with where Jimmy is because he's already been in the pits.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Performance Link, you have a fair point, Jimmy. You know what just for your own calls. Well, Andy's carried on, because we did say about having a look at Lydia's. Somebody in the chat asked if we could have a look at Lydia's incident, which ended up spinning her out race. Lydia, if you can remember what lap it was, I think it was lap 3 going on to
this one, lap 5.
Yeah. So that's her coming into the pits. So
it's after the pits.
Oh, was it after the pits? Yeah.
She had a pits. Right, Lydia. Do you know when you said you lost? This is a big good incident. Do you know when you said I didn't get a fast repair? And I think I saw your car getting repaired then. So if we just back it up,
even if you have the smallest amount of damage, and this could be under tray damage if you're driving, say, a Mercedes F1 car. It could be the diffuser, and you can pick it up a lot of the time around here because the car bounces and flies. You end up having.
Do you see here? You've got slight damage on your bumper. Watch when you come into the pits, and this is a pitfall of them fast repairs. You need to turn them off. If
Remember
you do
it for
pit stop.
You'll be doing 2 stops.
Because you come into here, you can see the damage on this front end. Watch when you go into the pits, and you'll get it repaired. It's one of them things we've all done as iRacers and think, why did I do that? And then obviously you have a big incident before, because you can see here coming into your pit stall now. Probably did need to do it this slow, but it's nice looking at your livery anyway, Lydia.
You're milking this.
It's nice to look at your livery. Very fine livery.
Lydia says she didn't know German steel dented in the wind. Yeah, and to be honest, Germans do quite often build the most reliable of things, but this time, no, I'm afraid not. That's the bit where you allow the Italians to do. Is it Lamborghini who always said that? You know, we let the Germans build the whole car, and then we let the Italians do the fuel cap, and it won't open.
Oh, come on. I bet it's here now, isn't it? Yeah. Come on. Sorry about this. I'm glad I sped it up now. Watch car. Bang. There it is. There was your fast repair, Lydia.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was hardly even a bang. It was a bloke with a mouse with a little hammer, just go pink. But yeah, obviously then you'd used up your fast repair, which you now know about, and then we went around to the start of the.
It was like, cha-ching! Thanks for repair.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. There you go. And then basically, so then we then go on to the incident, which is the end of this lap.
Yeah. Well, it's the end.
By
of
the
the
way,
GP.
cracking drive. By the way, you were super
Yeah,
quick in that lead.
Yeah, I think even Paul
in that
mentioned it,
class.
but you know,
Yeah.
he wasn't
no
going
way
to
he was
catch you at
catching you.
first.
Right, so there it is.
But you had said to us all along that you like to get out and drive by yourself, and you were doing that.
It certainly was. It was impressive.
And this is it. Now, as you can see from the cockpit cam, which we saw on your on the Discord, you know, you wouldn't have seen it. It was just whether at this point, because the car's been there quite a while, whether you got a yellow flag signal. That's what I was meaning in the commentary. Because if you got a yellow flag signal, then it would have been, well, hang on, you didn't slow down to prepare. But that car is actually kind of stationary when you first see it. So, you know, it's I'd be honest, if it was appealed, it would possibly who was it? Darren, wasn't it?
Darren.
I would kind of say I could see why Dan was going then, but with his relative, he would have got a penalty.
He would have, yeah. If you had put a penalty in there, I think he would have got one. Looking at,
and I know what you're saying about he's not in my class and things like that, but it doesn't matter if you're not in the class. It's about
it's a hard one, isn't it? Because you want to get
racing as clean, and it allows people to learn from it, doesn't it?
To me, this is a reckless rejoin from Darren.
Lydia says she didn't want to penalise dear Darren. Okay,
that
does not give everybody the right to pull out on her, though.
No, but this
you might want to penalise you.
Obviously, the issue is he spun out here, stopped, and obviously this car got behind. He then reversed back to try and get out on track, and didn't realise that Lydia was there. And
that is just pure relative use.
It is relative use, and that was a dangerous. That was a reckless join.
Somebody gave him a little nudge just as he went past, like, "Oh, stay in that barrier." So he goes round, rejoins, and then as he's already in, somebody just gives him a little nick.
Little nick, yeah. So that would have been, to me, I think that would have been a level 3 penalty.
Yeah, Paul, you did get a yellow flag, but you were about. From
even if it was a yellow flag and you slowed down, even if you're going slow, it's because Darren moved on and didn't close down that inside line when they come through. Lydia would have been going slower, but he's pretty much onto the line, isn't he? So that's to me that is what we would class as a reckless rejoin. When the car was that close and literally took out the lead in the AM. Although that doesn't have a bearing, it was. I was gutted for you, Lydia, because I did think you had an exceptional race.
I'm really surprised that crew chief didn't say slow, calm, and right. That is obviously something that if you're using a crew chief app instead of the crew chief from a game, that's something that would obviously come into effect. But we've got a free for Lydia for using Mercedes as a battering ram. Yeah. Poor Darren got taken out. That's definitely disqualified.
You probably got less. I mean, obviously your car was crabbing. How's the front end of that? How's the front end of yours? A little bit more damage than you repaired last time.
Yeah, did you actually drag that all the way around in the end, Lydia?
No,
I can't quite remember.
I think
Because I
think she had to
remember us
stop.
seeing it for a while.
Yeah, I think she
Um,
tried her best. I don't know if she actually got around. Did you get around?
Yeah. It looks,
Yes, yeah, we
yeah.
did. But yeah, she did. But then she didn't have a
Just-
fast repair, which
yeah,
basically give her.
we had too
probably
many
10 minutes.
replays to go through to keep up with you, to be fair. But this is what the comment earlier was about, about getting a damaged car back to pits. Yes, Lydia's had incidents and people have had to back off when we've seen her, but there hasn't been an incident with another car. So recovering your car to pits instead of towing is not a problem.
And that's where you thought, where's my fast repair, Lydia?
Using your fast
Wasn't it?
repair in a pit stop, you don't need it. Lesson learnt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then saying in the chat, I didn't get a fast repair, have a look. And then I thought I knew exactly what you did when you said that. I thought you hadn't taken it off.
So
I've done
obviously,
it so many times.
now you can set things like that to be turned off when you're in your settings. I can't quite remember how to do it, but I would advise you not to, because obviously with races you overdo. But yeah,
yes, untick
yeah.
it,
What I would do is untick it on your start when you're gridding up, and then if you need it, tick it.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just untick it so it's not, you haven't got it ticked, and then obviously iRacing will make you tick it again to get it to work. Otherwise, you see exactly what happened there. You had the minorest of damage because you had that ticked for a fast repair. It damages the smallest of things, and then obviously you had a wreck incident that could have been repaired that unfortunately didn't. That probably could have kept you in the race.
Just to sort of throw out, obviously we have Spa coming up this weekend, and the pit lane there is very tight trying to get into it. I'm not 100% sure whether it's the endurance pit lane or the Grand Prix pit lane.
I think it was a GP. I think
so if it's a GP pit lane, that's fine. What I would say is obviously watch going in, it is very tight, and coming out is fine. But coming out, if it was the endurance, that is
the top of Eau Rouge. Yeah.
The top of Eau Rouge. You thought Eau Rouge was tight. You drive an endurance pit lane, because I saw somebody in the 24 hours, leading the 24 hours, come round, and because there's a gate on the inside, he clipped the wall and wrecked his car. That's how tight it is. So, we don't want to see your dodgy replay files, Andy.
Yeah, there's awesome replay. Well, I don't know what you're on about, mate.
But yeah, we believe it's Steve Pierce has a right point. If you've got to tow, click it. If you've got to drive into pits, drive in and then click it before you stop, before you get to your box. But yeah, if you do it for the tow, you need it clicked before you tow. So just make sure of that, and and then bring on Spa this weekend, which is a circuit most people know anyway. So it's a little bit easier for everybody. I will now move forward so you can actually see me. I was getting quite comfortable there for 2 incidents.
I think the Lords is just one of them tracks that's super hard to pass. If you've got a slower car in front of you, I think we saw it a few times on the stream as well. Slower cars and faster cars coming up behind them. It's a super hard track. I mean, and it sort of showed by the amount of replays that we got, and a lot of the replays were all self incidents, hitting them curbs, bouncing over, hitting the walls, wrecking your car out. I think there's very few involving other cars, but there still was. I mean, I think overall, guys, it was a cracking stream to watch and commentate on, because there was just so much action.
Yeah, I mean we know what the replay buffer looks like. Let's put it that way. But
100%.
I just remember just hearing what no is, and another one, and another one. And I was like, oh no.
There must have been around about 30 replays in.
I think we got to the stage with Lewis that he didn't just say the name because it was a bit pointless, because we just could hear that something else was coming. Hopefully we'll have a big grid for a 2-hour race on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, it's the big points. You get a lot more points in this round than you do in the other two, so it's advantageous. Advantageous to get into Spa, finish it in a good, as best position you can, because you really don't want to be losing points at Spa, because I think it's relative to the other two sessions, but you do get a lot more points based on it being a 2-hour endurance race, so there's a lot more in it. And 2 hours, you don't need to make stupid moves in that first lap. You've got 2 hours to make your move. There's going to be some amazing strategies going out there, with the pit stops. You can only run for half an hour, so you're going to have at least 2 pit stops. Do you take tires? Do you take more fuel, which will make your car really unstable around Spa? I mean, it's going to be an amazing race. I'm really looking forward to it. Classic track, and I actually do know the corners at Spa, so
I just want to throw something in, which I hoped I wasn't going to have to, but something has just come to the attention, which Andy will have a look at in a minute. We have had a couple of times where people have got a bit hot-headed and said things, whether it's on chat or if it's in Discord or if it's in post-race things. It's frustrating, but if you have an issue in the race, and I'm going to take, for example, Lydia's issue, just to take a random one. This, to be clear, sorry, knocking my keyboard over. Lydia and Darren didn't have anything to say to each other or anything like that, so that's why I'm picking that incident. Just don't get hot-headed and start saying things back and forward. It's in the rules that you do not do that, because if it gets offensive or anything like that, it becomes a huge penalty. I know that we had one in the opening round which became a penalty. We had one at Donington that became a penalty, and it's not on that we're getting. We're here for the fun of it. Even though there's prizes on offer, we're here for the fun of it, and we don't want to, people possibly not wanting to race because X said Y and things like that. We just want people, if you've got frustrated by a race, walk away, think about it, make sure it is what you want to protest. Come and protest it on the Tuesday or Wednesday night. We'll deal with it, and that needs to be the end of it. And we don't want to be Max Verstappen holding grudges for half a season and then going, "Nah, I won't let you through. It's 6th place." Another spoiler.
You are full of spoilers, isn't you? If you've ever watched Dave, and if you are on Discord now, the pleasure on the Discord, and he's watching something that you really want to watch, just make sure you move to another channel, because it's like, ooh. I was just like, Dave, shut up, mate. Come on.
Yeah. To be fair, I never gave anything away to you. I didn't spoil anything. No, just
to answer Lydia's question in the stream, obviously the drop scores will be on your 2 lowest scores. So if you're, like we were saying, the endurance races, you get a lot more points for the endurance races than you do for the other races. So if you do well in the endurance, then that obviously will keep it. But if your endurance, if you say end up crashing out and coming right at the back of your field, and that is your second lowest score, that will get dropped. So there's big points lost to be gained and lost at the endurance races
exactly
races
like
of the season.
There,
and you can really catapult yourself up if you can do well. So it's advantageous to do lots of practice. That's why we picked the track that everybody's probably done a lot of laps on, like Spa and Le Mans. So they're going to be the interesting races to be able to finish on.
Also, in terms of Zero's comments about formation lap, yes, it's very short. If
there's not a lot we can do about that, honestly.
If a full lap is put on, it could be, but then it's a long lap, and
if the opportunity there, guys, and I'll tell you now, if the opportunity is there, and I don't put short lap. So if it's completely down to iRacing and what it does, if it gives us the full formation lap or gives us a short one, I have no idea. And you can have a look, but if you make up a session or whatever and then basically have a race and don't click it, where it starts you from is where you're going to start on Sunday. So, you can have a look at it yourself. I do not put short parade laps on any of our league sessions. It is as iRacing says.
If it does start there, which is just before the bus stop, sorry, Paul, please put in the chat, because somebody may not have seen it, so we can answer it anyway, even if you've seen it. But even if it is just before the bus stop, this lap is 2 minutes odd. We're saying 5 seconds between each class, and again, we could very easily, if it does happen, use the same rule as we used at Nürburgring about you not going to the pit lane entrance, and that
worked
really
well, I think. I think that went well. And the problem is with Spa is you've got the first corner, which is super tight.
Yeah.
Now, there's an incident in there and you're only 5 seconds behind, you're going to get caught up in it. Whereas if it's 10 seconds behind, you ain't going to get caught up with it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to wreck your 2-hour race by somebody spinning out in the first corner like we saw with Darren.
I would make sure, if it is 10-second gap, then there will be the ruling of don't go on the green light, go.
Yeah, be like
the leader leads pace out of the final corner, which will actually spread everybody out anyway. And also that will only be 30 seconds, and at that time's 2 minutes something. So you've got plenty of time to sort that out. In terms of just a start, I felt we did really well at Nordschleife.
I thought it went really well.
Everybody sort of obeyed it really well. And it could work at Spa as well, but we'll just have to see.
Well, I mean, the problem we got, if we say, I don't know what's going to go on. I haven't spoken to Tom yet to find out. But if you think about it, if it's go on the green light with pretty much the AMs, the rookies will be coming into the bus stop at the end, the chicane at the end, it's going to be carnage. So it makes sort of sense that we try and do a Nords that you go on when you come around that end, and we may put a starting grid on to show you clearly where it is. I'll speak to Tom and we'll come up with something.
Yeah, but there'll be a chat beforehand. Just make sure you attend the driver's briefing. There will be one, even if it's a short one before every race, because it does seem like each circuit has its own little questions. So there will be at least a short driver's briefing.
Well, that's why we have driver's briefs.
And we will
let you know
also,
before.
In terms of the grid issue, which we did see through iRacing, we will be looking into that before Spa. So hopefully, all things being well at Spa, we'll have everything sorted.
Never mind about the start, guys. You got 2 hours to look forward to going around Spa. I think there's going to be some cracking racing and some, and I wholeheartedly feel that a lot of the winners will be from whatever the different pit strategies that people do, because I just love the way that we're being cynical. I almost want to go, with giving you a car that only got enough fuel for 30 minutes and in a 2-hour race. So what are you going to do?
I mean, maybe if we can watch the 2-hour races and see who can get that 60 litres the furthest over the 2 rounds of the 2-hour races, that'd be quite interesting to see. Who's well, it depends. I mean, I've been called the fuel whisperer in my team for the 24 hours because I just get an extra lap out of a thing from nowhere. It did help that I had a warning box in the middle of my screen at Daytona, so I couldn't really see the corners, so I couldn't go full pelt into them. Paul says it's about points, but all good. Misread the -3 laps. I thought it was pro leader. No, it's class leader.
Class
you have to be within 3 laps of the class leader to score points. So that is a good question, because some people may have misread it.
Yeah, well, I couldn't have done that. We could have been that mean to you, certainly with these alien pros that we've got, going around 2 hours of Spa. You may not come off and think, why have I got no points? Because you were like been lapped 3 times by these alien
No, actually, for Spa with 2 hours, it's actually, you've got to be within half a lap of Thomas Cope.
Yeah. Thomas Elliott, it's going to be a cracking battle at the front. It's going to be a cracking battle throughout the field. We got these classes that we've designed have been tried to be designed as close as they can. There are the different pods within the classes, but we've seen it in Nords. I think we had Tom, Russ, and Bob and Casper at one point, all in a line fighting in that mid battle. And you look where they are on the table. That's exactly where they are in the table. So, I think we have got the classes right again. But like I said, if after round 6 we decide there needs to be some tweaking, then we'll make them tweaks. But I think at the moment, with the moves that we've made with the players that have gone up and down, has been perfectly right. And where we're at. And I don't know what's going on with your camera, Dave. You have
that is me flicking to Discord because it's in dark mode. Because our illustrious leader, bow down to him. Actually, now you've just seen my bald
spot.
The
Overlord.
Now you just see my bald spot. Shouldn't have done that. We've got a new Performance Link website coming very, very soon. So check that out when we when Tom actually gets
I'm,
around to watching it.
I'm interested in that. Yeah, that should be interesting. Have our own very own league page, which would be nice. It's progression.
Tom's also said, "I am AM. Please move me down." No, sorry, it's PM, mate. Have you only just woke up?
The Overlord
Yeah.
is
Clone robot alien or demigod.
demigod. Yeah,
But
definitely is.
Yeah. But we've probably used up most of your time here tonight, so
Certainly have.
we'll considering we only had 2 protests, and that one took longer than I expected, to be fair.
It did, but it was always great to speak to Lewis and speak to you guys and just have a bit of banter as well. Do you know what I mean? We don't really get to see, and we'd love to be able to get all of you in the broadcast after the races, but it's cracking on, and obviously Spa's going to be blessed. But this gives us our opportunity to thingy. I think what I might try and do is actually get my phone. And then basically we can have dial-ins live on air. How's that? We could be like something like that. That'd be quite good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit dodgy giving people your phone number because you never know what websites they might end up on.
I'll just give you my crappy work one. I don't care.
Yeah, just give him your boss number. Your boss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Phone this guy. He'll listen to all your woes.
Yeah, but yeah. So this weekend Spa, just so you all know, GMT +1. We're sticking. It's not changing back or anything. Yeah. So it's 8 o'clock here in the UK.
GMT, 8 o'clock GMT is the race.
GMT, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously the stream starts half an hour earlier.
Yeah, so ignore what I just said a minute ago about +1. Yeah. It's
Dave's just.
I don't know. The clock just goes back and forward and out the window. But yeah, so it's GMT, and then we'll go for 2 hours of Spa. Now, obviously, remember that it's going to be a bit of a longer race than generally, so we're going to have to talk about a little bit longer. Sorry.
We can do that, mate. We can talk.
We can. It's just whether people will fall asleep.
Yeah, it's been 2 hours on here, and we've talked about absolutely nothing. So we're pretty good at it. Yeah. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's really good fun to have you guys on, listening to your comments on there. We're not going to say we're always going to get it 100%. That's why you get the opportunity to put in a protest if you think that you've been unfairly dealt with. We try to be as honest and open as physically possible. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. It helps us out, grow it. Give us a thumbs up, and just spread the word about obviously what we're trying to do over here, and bits and pieces of that. But from myself, Andy, I say good night, and from Dave,
yeah, good night, and see you on Sunday for the 2 hours of Spa.
There it is. See you later, guys. Have fun.